The millionaire dragon that no one dared to challenge until she did. The coffee splattered across the Italian marble floor like blood at a crime scene. "Are you completely incompetent?" Dragon Solaris's voice cut through the executive hall, each word sharp enough to sting. His steel-grey eyes locked onto the young woman in the maintenance uniform, watching her freeze mid-step. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Maya Torres didn't look up. She knew the rules. Look down, apologize, disappear. That was how you survived an encounter with the dragon, the CEO whose reputation for destroying careers was as legendary as his billion-dollar empire. "Excuse me, sir. I'll clean it up right away." "Excuse me?" Dragon's laugh was icy. "Do you know how much this watch cost? The one your carelessness just ruined?" He raised his wrist, where drops of coffee stained a watch that probably cost more than Maya's annual salary. "More than you'll earn in 5 years, I'd bet." The other executives in the room shifted uncomfortably, but no one said anything. No one ever said anything when Dragon Solaris was attacking. Maya fell to her knees, taking cleaning supplies from the cart with trembling hands. Her heart pounded against her ribs. She needed that job. Her mother's medical expenses depended on it. "Pathetic," Dragon muttered, taking a step back as if his poverty might be contagious. "That's what happens when HR lowers our standards. They hire anyone who shows up on the street. Maybe if you didn't stand in the middle of the sidewalk like you owned the world, the accidents wouldn't happen." The words spilled out of Maya's mouth before her brain could stop them. The room fell silent, a sepulchral silence. Dragon turned his head sharply toward her with predatory precision. "What did you just say?" Maya's blood ran cold. What was she thinking? She had just signed her own resignation papers, but something in his tone, that absolute certainty that he was untouchable, ignited a flame she didn't even know existed within her. She stood up slowly, meeting his gaze for the first time. "But I told you, sir, that perhaps if you paid attention to what's happening around you, instead of assuming that everyone would simply separate like the Red Sea, these things wouldn't happen. Do you have any idea who I am?" Dragon Solaris, CEO of Solaris Industries, net worth of approximately $3.2 billion, known for hostile takeovers, zero-tolerance policies, and apparently for standing in pedestrian walkways. Maya's voice was firm now, driven by a recklessness that seemed almost liberating. "But knowing who you are doesn't change the laws of physics, sir. You were in my way. I tried to avoid you. The coffee spilled." For the first time in 15 years, Dragon Solaris was speechless. The woman in front of him wasn't cowering. She wasn't pleading. Her dark eyes stared at him with something he hadn't seen in longer than he could remember, a complete absence of fear. No, it wasn't absence. She was terrified. He could see it in the slight trembling of her hands, in the rapid pulse in her throat. But even so, she was standing. Something broke in his chest. "Everyone out," he said quietly. The executives scurried for the door, like rats fleeing a sinking ship. In seconds, the lounge was empty, except for Dragon and the maintenance worker who had just committed professional suicide. "What's your name?" His voice had changed, softer, though no less intense. "Maya Torres." "How long have you worked here, Miss Torres?" 3 months. "And in those 3 months, did anyone tell you that I destroyed people's lives for less than what you just told me?" "Yes, sir." "Then why?" He cut himself off, clenching his teeth. Why would you say that, anyway?" Maya clenched her fists. "Because I'm tired, Mr. Solaris. I'm tired of people like you treating people like me as if we were invisible, as if we didn't matter, as if our existence was only to make your life more convenient." She picked up her cleaning supplies. "Fire me if you want. I'll be gone by the end of the day." She turned. The following morning, Maya stood outside the executive floor, feeling like Alice about to fall down the rabbit hole. She had barely slept, her mind swirling with possibilities and fears. What did Dragon Solaris want with her? Was this an elaborate trap for revenge? The elevator doors opened with a gentle touch. She stepped into a world of glass and steel where every surface gleamed with richness and power. "Mrs. Torres?" An elegant woman wearing an impeccable suit approached. "I'm Jennifer Park, Mr. Solaris's executive assistant. He's expecting you." Maya followed Jennifer through corridors that looked more like art galleries than offices. Everything exuded wealth and sophistication, things Maya had only seen from the outside. Jennifer stopped in front of a huge door. Some advice. The man you met yesterday isn't the same one everyone else sees. Whatever made him show you this side of himself, don't miss it. She knocked once and opened the door. Ms. Torres, sir. Dragon's office was exactly as Maya had hoped. Enormous, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, like a king contemplating his kingdom. He was standing at those windows, his hands clasped behind his back. Close the door, Mrs. Torres. Maya obeyed, her heart racing. I spent the night analyzing your file, Dragon said without turning around. You dropped out of high school. You got your high school equivalency diploma at 23, no college degree. You've worked 6 different jobs in the last 5 years, all entry-level, all in customer service roles. He finally turned around with an unreadable expression. Do you want to tell me why? My mother got sick, Maya said simply. Our medical bills don't wait for college degrees. Leukemia. Her eyes widened. How did you... I did my research. She's at Memorial Hospital, receiving treatment through their charity program. Dragon went to his desk and picked up a folder. I also discovered something interesting. Before you dropped out, you were taking advanced courses. Physics, calculus, engineering. He looked up. You planned to study mechanical engineering. Maya's throat tightened. That was a long time ago. Talent doesn't expire, Mrs. Torres. It just gets buried by circumstances. He slid the folder across the table. This is a full scholarship for you to complete your degree, evenings and weekends, online if necessary. Solaris Industries will cover all costs, including your mother's medical treatment. Her hands trembled as she opened the folder. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Because yesterday you did something that no one in this entire building has done in 15 years. You treated me like a human being, not like a myth. Dragon's voice was steely, shrouded in vulnerability. You told me the truth when it would have been easier to remain silent. That's rarer than you think. What do you want in return? A slight smile crossed his face. Honesty. I want you to work directly with me as a special projects assistant. Your job will be simple. Tell me what I don't want to hear. Show me the blind spots my sycophants have created. Be the voice that keeps me human. This is crazy. I'm not qualified. You're the only qualified person, Dragon interrupted. Everyone else is too afraid of me to tell me the truth. You're not. He held out his hand. 1 year. Give me 1 year of brutal honesty, and I guarantee you'll finish your degree and your mother will receive the best possible treatment. Because, in the shadows of Solaris Industries, powerful people were watching, and they didn't like what they saw. In a conference room 3 floors below, 5 executives sat in tense silence. He's lost his mind, said Marcus Chen, the finance director, slamming his palm on the table. A maintenance worker. He's turning a maintenance worker into his personal assistant. It wasn't just any maintenance worker, Victoria Hayes, Vice President of Operations, coldly corrected. It was the one who insulted him in front of half the executive team, the one who should have been fired on the spot. This has to do with his father, said Richard Blackwood, the oldest of the group, with quiet authority. I was there when Dragon took over this company 15 years ago. I watched him bury all traces of his past, and now this girl shows up and breaks through that armor in a single conversation. She's dangerous, Victoria said. If Dragon starts showing weakness, if he starts remembering his origins, she let the insinuation hang in the air. Then we lose our protection, Marcus concluded. The ruthless CEO who makes the tough decisions is the reason this company dominates the market. If he becomes a sentimental philanthropist, we acted, Richard said simply. We've protected our interests for too long to let some nobody destroy what we've built. Maya didn't know about the meeting. She was too busy immersing herself in her new reality. Her first week as Dragon's special projects assistant was like trying to drink water from a fire hose. She attended executive meetings where billions of dollars were discussed as if they were small change. She reviewed acquisition contracts that would reshape entire sectors. And through it all, Dragon watched her with those intense grey eyes, waiting for her to speak up. It took her 3 days to find her voice. This is wrong, said Maya, sliding a contract back across Dragon's desk. They were alone in their office, reviewing a proposed acquisition of a small tech startup. Dragan looked up, surprised. "Explain yourself." "This clause here," Maya pointed to a section filled with legal jargon. "You're basically forcing them to sell by threatening to develop competing technology and drive them out of the market. That's not business. That's extortion." "It's a matter of strategy," Dragan countered. "They have the technology we need. This is the most efficient way to acquire it." Efficient for whom? Not for the 40 employees who built this company from scratch. Not for the founder who will watch you dismantle it to sell the parts. Maya stared at him. "You told me to be honest. And here's the honesty. This kind of thing makes people call you a dragon, the kind of thing that turns you into your father's boss." His jaw clenched. For a moment, she thought she had gone too far. Then he picked up the phone. "Jennifer, put me through to the legal department. We're rewriting the Nexus Tech contract." "Sir?" Jennifer's voice showed shock. "You heard me. I want terms that preserve the company's structure and employee contracts. It should be a partnership, not an acquisition." When he hung up, Maya stared at him in disbelief. "Don't be so surprised," Dragan said. "That's what I hired you for, wasn't it? I didn't think you would actually listen to me. That's the problem with power, Mrs. Torres. People stop expecting you to be reasonable." He leaned back in his chair. "My father used to say that a man's character isn't measured by how he treats his equals, but by how he treats those who have nothing to offer him. I'd forgotten that." In the following weeks, something changed at Solaris Industries. Small changes at first. Better benefits for lower-level employees, more transparent promotion processes, a whistleblowing hotline that actually led somewhere. But these small changes terrified the people who had built their empires on the old system. "She has to leave," said Marcus Chen, his voice choked with despair. They were gathered at Richard's private residence, a place free from corporate surveillance. The 5 executives who had enriched themselves through Dragan's ruthlessness had become 5 conspirators, plotting to preserve their power. "I agree," Victoria nodded. "But we can't just fire her. Dragan would know we were behind it." "So we discredit her," Richard said calmly. "We make Dragan believe that she's the threat, not us." "As," Richard smiled, a cold smile that never reached his eyes. "Simple. We'll give her access to something she shouldn't have. We'll plant evidence of corporate espionage. We'll make it look like she's selling company secrets to competitors." "He's going to destroy her," Marcus whispered. "Exactly. And when she leaves..." The trap was elegant in its simplicity. Victorious accidentally left confidential procurement documents on a shared server that Maya had access to. Marcus arranged for those same documents to appear on a competitor's desk the next day, and Richard ensured the digital trail led directly to Maya's login credentials. 3 weeks after the conspiracy began, Dragan summoned Maya to his office. His expression was sculpted from ice. "Please sit down, Mrs. Torres." The formality in his voice made her stomach churn. Something was very wrong. Dragan slid a folder across the table. "Can you explain this?" Maya opened the envelope. Her blood ran cold. They were confidential documents, acquisition targets, financial projections, strategic plans. Everything she had seen in passing, but never had direct access to. I've never seen anything like it. Not like this. They were accessed from your account, Dragon said, his voice deadly calm. And they surfaced at Meridian Corp yesterday. Our biggest competitor just discovered 3 acquisitions we were planning. Acquisitions worth over $2 billion. I didn't do it. Maya's hands trembled. Someone is setting a trap for me. That's what they all say. Mr. Solaris, Dragon, please, think about it. Why would I destroy everything? The scholarship, my mother's treatment, this opportunity. Why would I throw it all away? Money. Dragon stood up and walked to the window. Meridian Corp could have paid you more than I ever could. I don't care about money. Everyone only cares about money, Mrs. Torres. His voice was bitter. I learned that lesson the hard way. Maya felt tears burning her eyes, but refused to let them fall. Fine. You want to believe I'm a traitor? Fire me. Call the police. Do whatever it takes. She stood, straightening her shoulders. But before you do that, ask yourselves one thing. When was the last time someone challenged you and you were wrong? Because I think that's what this is about. You let someone in, showed who you really are, and now you're terrified of being used against you. The words exploded like bombs between them. Dragon turned slowly. Leave. With pleasure. Maya walked toward the door, but stopped. Just so you know, the man I met who told me about his father, that man was real. This, she pointed to his cold expression, this is the armor you wear to hide yourself. I just hope you figure out which one you want to be before it's too late. The door closed behind her with a definitive stillness. Dragon was alone in his office, his ghostly reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows. In the glass, he could see the 2 versions of himself, the ruthless CEO and the janitor's son he had sworn to be better. Which one was he really? His phone vibrated. Jennifer's voice was tense, heavy with worry. Sir, you need to see something. It's about Mrs. Torres. I'm not interested. These are security camera images from 3 weeks ago, from the night these documents were accessed. Something in his tone of voice caught his attention. Send it upstairs. 5 minutes later, Dragon was watching grainy footage of his office building at 11 p.m. Maya's login credentials were used to access the confidential server, but Maya herself was in front of the cameras in a completely different building, visiting her mother in the hospital. His heart stopped. She was telling the truth. Dragon's mind shifted to the cold, calculating mode that built his empire. If Maya didn't access those files, someone else did using her credentials. Someone with the technical knowledge to hack the system. Someone who wanted Maya out of the system. Someone close to him. He answered the phone. Jennifer, call Marcus Chen, Victoria Hayes, and Richard Blackwood. To my office, now. All three, sir. And extract their access logs from the last month. Every email, every file transfer, every login. I want to see everything. When the three executives arrived, Dragon had already found what he was looking for, a pattern of coordinated access, carefully concealed transfers, and deleted emails that the IT team had managed to recover. They entered his office with confident smiles. They didn't realize they were walking into an execution. "Sit down," Dragon said, his voice filled with absolute authority. The three executives exchanged glances, but obeyed. Dragon tossed 3 folders onto the table, one in front of each of them. "Open them." Richard opened the first one. His face paled. "These are your access logs," Dragon said coldly. "The ones you thought you'd deleted. The ones that show you orchestrating a setup to frame Maya Torres for corporate espionage." He leaned forward, his grey eyes now mirrored like ice. "You really thought I wouldn't find out? Dragon, you need to understand," Marcus began. "I understand perfectly," Dragon interrupted. "You saw me becoming human again, and it terrified you. Because if I started caring about people, instead of just profits, you would lose your protection. You would have to answer for the shortcuts you've taken, the regulations you've circumvented, the lives you've destroyed. We built this company with you." Victoria's voice rose. "We made you billions. You enriched yourselves at the expense of my reputation," Dragon corrected. "And just when I started to change, you tried to destroy the only person brave enough to help me improve." He stood, his imposing presence filling the room. "You're all fired. Effective immediately. Security will escort you out. And if any of you use my name or my company's name again, I will personally ensure you never work in this industry again." "You can't do that," Richard began. "I am Dragon Solaris. I can do whatever I want." The dragon was fully awake now, but this time his impulse was righteous. "Say, get out of my building before I have you arrested for corporate sabotage." The 3 executives left like prisoners, walking to their execution. When they left, Dragon took out his cell phone and called a number he had memorized but never used. Maya answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello? Mrs. Torres, it's Dragon Solaris." He paused, the words he hadn't uttered in 15 years suddenly feeling heavy on his tongue. "I owe you an apology." They met at a small coffee shop 3 blocks from Solaris Industries, neutral ground far from the empire he had built. Maya sat down opposite him, with a cautious but not hostile expression. "I fired them," Dragon said bluntly. "Marcus, Victoria, and Richard. They're gone. I also instructed my legal team to file a complaint for corporate sabotage and fraud." "Great," Maya said simply. "I should have believed you." "Yes, you should have done that." Dragon smiled, a genuine smile, without armor. "You're not going to make things easy, are you?" "Why should I?" Maya looked into his eyes. "You once told me that talent doesn't expire. It's just buried by circumstances. Well, trust is the same thing. You buried yours under 15 years of betrayal and cruelty. An apology won't unearth it." "And then what?" Maya remained silent for a long moment. "Work a time. Consistency. Proving that the man who told me about his father is really you, not just a mask you wear when it suits you." "I would like to have the opportunity to do that," Dragon said. "The scholarship is still in place, your mother's treatment is still covered, and your position—" He slid a new contract across the table. "You are now Vice President of Corporate Ethics and Employee Relations, You will report directly to me. Your role will be to ensure that what just happened, to you, to my father, to anyone, never happens again in my company." Maya stared intently at the contract, her eyes widening at the sight of the salary amount. "That's it. A market salary for someone brave enough to tell a billionaire he's wrong," Dragon said. "Plus all the benefits, educational support, and a seat at the table where the real decisions are made." He reached out. "Help me build something better, Maya. Help me be the man my father would have been proud of." She looked at his hand, then at his face. She truly looked beyond the reputation and power, at the human being who existed beneath. Then she shook his hand. "One condition," Maya said. "We created a foundation. For kids like you were. Kids whose parents work hard but can't afford to send them to college. Kids whose talent is buried by circumstances. The Solaris Foundation for Working Families," Dragon said immediately. "We will fund it with 10% of the company's profits annually. Let it be 15%. This time, his laughter was genuine. "You're going to be expensive, aren't you? You have no idea." 6 months later, Solaris Industries was a different company, no longer mild-mannered. Dragon remained shrewd, competitive, and building his empire. But now that empire had a conscience. The Solaris Foundation had awarded its first 100 scholarships. Employee satisfaction rates at the company tripled, and Dragon Solaris, the man formerly known only as the Dragon, was being profiled in business magazines as a new kind of CEO, someone who proved that profit and principles were not mutually exclusive. Maya was in her new office, still modest by executive standards, but very different from where she had started, when Dragon knocked on her open door. "Your mother's doctor's called," he said, with a rare smile on his face. "The treatment is working. She's in remission." Maya brought her hand to her mouth and tears began to stream down her face. "Is she?" "She is." Dragon entered his office. "They're crediting the experimental therapy we funded. The one the insurance didn't cover. I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Dragon replied. "You restored my humanity, Maya. I'm simply returning the favor." She wiped away her tears, laughing through them. "I just spilled coffee on you." "The best accident of my life," Dragon said. Then, more seriously, "Thank you for not giving up on me when I gave you every